The state of Idaho provides a process for cities to amend their budget, and tonight's discussion topic tonight is to try and do that. We are asking for a $1,622,670 amendment to the budget. It's due to some projects that didn't materialize or occur in 2010 that were carried over into 2011. There's some grants that we received, and there's some projects that didn't get finished, and one large vehicle that was ordered in 2010 and not delivered until 2011. So I can go through those by fund. This general fund, we're asking for $20,000 to be appropriated from the general fund over to the 1912 fund for the retaining wall and the grant match for the CDBG monies that was received by the 1912. And then also two small grants. One Reese was talking about tonight was the humanities grant for Century of Exchange, and then the $3,000 Active Living Task Force grant from Idaho Smart Growth. Within the street fund, there's $20,000 for planned services for payment management rating system inventory, a $25,000 carryover for projects for city participation on projects that weren't done this year, or last year I should say, and then $130,000 is proposed for capitalizing an overlay project. We brought that forward from last year into this year and monopolized on a larger project for pavement management. And then finally, the Nelson Avenue project was $7,500 for developer participation by ITD. Within the Parks Department, we had a insurance reimbursement for Hordeman's Pond signage due to a woodpecker. Then also a $5,000 donation for park benches. The Art Fund received $9,030 in Department of Ag monies for federal grants for farmers market on a promotional project. The city appropriated $20,000 for the 1912 I just mentioned, and I have to account for that twice, once in the general fund and one back to the 1912 fund. And then we received some funds in 2010 for mobile data terminals, and the equipment didn't get all shipped here until 2011, and that was $17,905. In the water fund, there were several projects. Three studies. One's the alternate water study for $65,760. The water comp plan, and was $89,230, and the water rate study $20,000. The telemetry upgrade for Phase 1 was $50,000, and Well 6 was $45,000 for well maintenance. In the sewer fund, there were two additional studies similar to the water fund. Utility rate study there also, and also the sewer comp plan for $167,000. We have 6 different projects. One is monitoring system upgrades for $40,000, elder valves for $7,500, grout hole grouting for $20,000. Inflow and infiltration abatement program was $50,000. Manhole replacement was $30,000. Paradise Creek monitoring $20,000. The sewer vacuum truck that was ordered in 2010 didn't get delivered until this year for $292,150. And there was some fleet software training that was budgeted that didn't occur until 2011. And then finally, in the capital projects fund, we received some monies back from IDT for $67,000 that needs to get transferred over to the water fund, and also $174,130 project from the ARRA transit grant for bus turnouts, sidewalks, transit shelters, and some handicap ramp access. Those totals amount to $1,622,670. And if you got any specific comments, I'd be more than happy to answer you.
Thank you, Don. Questions, Sue?
What's an elder valve?
I'll defer that to Les.
Les, please.
Thank you. Elder valves are essentially a a valve that is put on a sewer service line that can be opened and closed. And we install those in select locations where we've had difficulties due to flat lines, when we're cleaning a line, of having a backup up the sewer service line into the house. By installing a valve, we prevent that from happening so we don't get that disruption back into the home.
And can you do that during flood times, too? Because there have been times in town where during flooding, then they also have that backup problem.
If there was a particularly high load within a certain sewer main, you certainly could, but there's not going to be a lot of them in the system, and so it's going to be, one here, one there type thing.
Okay. I know that doesn't have anything to do with the budget, but I never get a chance to ask these questions.
I was kind of thinking if that were germane to how you're going to vote on this, we'll better get it answered.
No.
She wanted to make sure it wasn't a really old valve.
Quiet, that's right.
Other questions for Don?
Older
Yes,
than
Lynn.
you.
Well, Don, we're approaching the end of the 2011 budget year, and so I guess I'm a little just surprised that we're this late into the budget year when we come in to open this up, understanding that we're bringing forward funds that were carried over from 2010 and additional grant money. So my question is these things that we're actually going to get done during this fiscal year, or are we going to probably look at carrying these over into 2012?
That's a good question. A lot of these projects, I try to bundle these together because we get grants throughout the year. So I bundle these all together so that we don't have to open the budget or amend the budget more than one time during the course of the year. So a lot of these things happened in the early part of 2010, like the vacuum truck we received, I think it was in midwinter sometime. So a lot of these projects, I ask department heads to just give me these copies of things that are occurring throughout the year, and then I bundle them together. And normally we try to have this done by August, about the same time we're doing the public hearings, but we had a full boat on a couple agenda items, as you can imagine, at the last council meeting. That's why you didn't see them at the last council meeting.
Yes, Tom?
You just said early part of 2010. Did you mean 2011?
Well, our start of the fiscal year is 2010, so
Right,
I should have said late 2010.
You meant
Late.
the early
So-
part of FY 2011.
Early part of 2011.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
October, just for the audience's perspective,
1st.
is our budget year, fiscal year starts October 1, 2010, and ends September 30th, 2011. So a lot of the things that we're asking to be carried over occurred in 2010 FY, ending September 30th, 2010. And some of the things weren't delivered until after October 1, 2011, and then we have to record that invoice
October
on the
2010.
2011 budget, okay?
2010.
Yeah,
October
so-
1st, 2010.
Pardon me?
October 1st, 2011 hasn't happened yet. 2010.
Excuse me, October 1st, 2010. Thank you.
Y'all pick on Don.
You said it first.
Other comments or questions for Don before we open the
Maps and
hearing?
budget years.
I don't think we
if
should
that's
ask
the
him
short
any more
answer,
questions.
yes.
Okay. Anybody else? No? Okay. Thank you, Don. Appreciate your
Yep.
report. Given the complexity of all of that Don just reported to us, the way I'll conduct a public hearing is just to invite general comments about it. If you have a specific piece of that you either approve or disapprove of, please let the council know for their deliberations subsequent to closure of this public hearing. As before, I'd have you state your name and address for our record. Try to be brief in your remarks and not repeat what's been said before you, though it's certainly appropriate to say, I agree with this, that, or the other thing. With that, I'll open the public hearing and open it up for public input, either approving or disapproving the proposed amendment of fiscal year 2011 budget ordinance. Okay, and seeing no one come forward, then I'll close the public hearing and open it up to the council for discussion. Looks like I caught Tim's attention. Tim?
Well, Madam Mayor and Council, I'd move that we approve the FY 2011 budget ordinance in order to accommodate the prescribed changes that Mr. Palmer has so succinctly put before us under the suspension of the rules requiring complete and separate readings and that the ordinance be read by title and published by summary.
And that was three complete.
Three complete.
Three complete
I'll
and
second.
separate readings. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and Tom, is that what you understand? Okay.
That's what I understand.
So we have
He said
Tim's
three
motion
complete.
and Tom's second. Any discussion before voting? There's a motion for approval of the amended fiscal year 2011 budget ordinance. Wayne?
I'd just be curious to see the look on Don's face if we decided not to. approve it.
Other discussion?
Get him a
Okay.
happy pill.
Hearing none, we'll start the roll call vote with Walter.
Aye.
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 Okay, that motion carries, and that would be ordinance
start
number
explaining that much to you again. You better watch
2011-13, an
out.
ordinance of the City of Moscow, Idaho, Municipal Corporation of the State of Idaho, amending ordinance 2010-16, the appropriation ordinance for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2010, and ending September 30, 2011, appropriating monies in the sum of $48,730,840, and providing for this ordinance to be in full force and effect from and after its passage, approval, and publication according to law.